Hello! The Frindle Files, Chapter 16. Perfect. The laptop chimed. The wheel disappeared. In its place was a message from the program. Congratulations! You are virus-free! Josh let out a huge sigh. Ms. Hernandez patted his shoulder. That was lucky, but Josh, be sure to run a scan at least once a week and stick to downloading ebooks from reliable sources like the school library, okay? Okay, Josh thought about his near miss as he packed up his laptop. He thought about it all through dinner that night, too. He sent a message to Vanessa and his classmates. They were a little annoyed, but thankfully virus-free. Josh had been terrified until he knew everything was okay. Then he was relieved. Now he was angry with himself for being so stupid, but also with whoever had pirated the book. I can't believe people do that kind of thing. He pushed open the door to his room, then stopped short. Sophie was climbing his chair to get onto his desk. Sophie, no! Frizzle! She grabbed for something. Her pudgy little hand hit a pile of books. They toppled to the floor. Sophie would have toppled too if Josh hadn't grabbed her. Careful there, kiddo. You almost fell. She wriggled in his arms and reached toward the desk again. Frizzle! Have Frizzle! Josh knew better than to give his little sister a pen. He put her down and handed her their dad's old calculator instead. Frizzle! 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 Sophie toddled out of the room, pushing the calculator buttons to make the little screen light up with numbers. Josh started stacking the books back on his desk. They were his favorite paperbacks, the ones his parents used to read to him before bed. He hadn't looked at any of them for a long time, but he remembered how great it had been to burrow under the covers and listen to the stories. The cover art of one book caught his eye. Its title, Charlotte's Web, was draped in spider webs. A spider dangled on her silk string in front of a little girl hugging a pig, and below the artwork was the author's name, E.B. White. E.B. White, where have I heard that name before? He racked his brain but couldn't come up with the answer until he sat down to do his homework. When he pulled out his paperback copy of The Elements of Style, there it was, written by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. No way. He looked from one book to the other and asked himself a binary question. Did the same E.B. White write both? Yes or no? A quick online search provided the answer. Yes, William Strunk Jr., a professor of English literature, had written the original book in 1918. E.B. White expanded it in 1959. 7 years after that, he wrote Charlotte's Web. And according to the website, White had once been in Professor Strunk's class. Josh tried to imagine himself working on a book Mr. N had written. He shook his head. The thought was too weird. He flipped open Charlotte's Web to the title page. At some point, he'd written his name there. He grinned. He still had the same scrunchy handwriting. Suddenly, something Mr. N had said in class came back to him. I wrote my name in it. I can share it with my children or my grandchildren. Josh didn't have kids or grandkids, but he did have a little sister. He doubted he'd ever pass the Elements of Style on to Sophie, but Charlotte's Web? That he could see doing. Maybe he'd even read the paperback aloud to her just as his parents had done. She was too young now, but that was okay. He found he wanted to reread it. He put the book on his nightstand, then pulled out his laptop. His list of ebook errors fluttered out, and the anger he'd felt earlier surged back. But now it was different, more personal somehow, because whoever had pirated The Elements of Style hadn't just pirated a book. That person had also pirated E.B. White. Not the actual man, of course. White had died years ago. But White's name was on that awful ebook. That didn't seem right. In fact, it seemed really wrong. And Josh decided he was going to do something about it. It was time for a new plan. Goodbye.